Welcome to Stories and Songs, a series of interviews with musicians from the world of jazz and improvisation. I'm Andrea Keller and I'm thrilled today to be speaking with Miho Hazama. Welcome, Miho, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Hi.
What have been the pivotal events in your musical journey?
Um, okay. I think I have so many things. I think in my life as a musician, I think a lot of people say that I came on a one straight rail as a musician, but I do not think that way. I grew up with no musician parents, but they love the music. So, I mean, a lot of genre of music. So I grew up listening to a lot of music, and especially I was really into classical music. So I learned classical music a lot and classical piano, classical composition, as well as electric organ for a long time. But when I was in a college back in Japan, where I was studying a classical composition, I happened to be in a college big band where I, discovered all really cool jazz modern music by Maria Schneider, Vince Mendoza, Jim McNeely, Guy Goldstein, and I got so in love with those music. And then that's how I kind of stopped thinking about being a film composer or like a soundtrack maker or a classical composer to switch my major to jazz for the first time and also to be an artist, which I did not expect at all. So it's been quite a journey for me that uh, everything was related to the music, but I switched a lot of paths to come up to have this career.
Yes, yes. And there were particular people or mentors along the way that really stood out to you, or?
Right. I think, my luckiest thing in my life is that I have been having wonderful teachers, not only music teachers, but also from like kindergarten or elementary schools as well. As I moved a lot of places in Japan when I was a kid, since my father works at the insurance company, then he had to work with family all the time. So every time I moved, that I had to make a new friends and then new school. But I've had amazing teachers and mentors. And then when I came to New York City for the first time, I couldn't really speak English either, but my mentor and amazing professor, Jim McNeely, has been such a great, hero for me, as not only as a musician, but also as a human being. And after later on, I also met Maria Schneider in person, and she has been such an amazing mentor for me as well. So I feel like that's like the most important thing and the luckiest thing in my life.
They're wonderful. And what sort of obstacles have you had to overcome along the way in the musical journey, and how have you dealt with them?
Okay, I think as a composer and also as a freelance musician, the hardest part is to keep self-discipline and also self-producing. So you have to be hard on yourself in a way, and you have to be clear or like to keep being sharp about yourself so that you know what you want to do or what you can do in a certain way. But also you have to keep, creativity, motivation, inspiration in your career. And taking balance of your business side and also, your creative side is completely different. I personally struggled with that quite a lot. Um, so I still, have to deal with coming back from planning or like a coming back from tours where I conduct a lot to be back to composing time so that I can focus on the music more. Um, it's still tough,
Yeah.
but I think that's my life as a composer. Yeah.
So you're just persevering with it and just learning as you go.
I think so. Yeah, because well, I mean, there's no company or there's no boss pushing my, deadline or anything. I mean, yes, I do love having a deadlines so that I can push myself to work a little bit harder. But yeah, it's always challenging for me.
And do you have a personal motto or philosophy that guides you? Or is there any more advice you'd like to share with our emerging musicians?
I would say I always tell this to my younger, musician friends that, as I said before, producing yourself is a great way to be close to your dream or, goals that you make. You set a goal and you have to see yourself objectively so that you know what to do or what you are going to struggle with that so that you probably can avoid it that way but going this way, something like that, and plan ahead so that you can be close to anything. And I personally like to have a big goals and a big dreams, and it's easy to have a dreams. It's free. Nothing is wrong with having a dreams. So I do have a big dreams, and then you don't have to say that to public, but just think about it and then aim for that. Dream high and then produce yourself.
That's beautiful advice. Thank you, Miho. And could you please nominate a track of yours or an album that is particularly meaningful for you and tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. I would nominate Dancer Nowhere, which is the title track of my title track of my latest album with my chamber orchestra M unit, Dancer Nowhere. And I nominate because this track had a certain time gap actually, where I started, well, first I started writing that one part, and I kept going, but I didn't like it. So I left that piece for 3 months or 4 months or something, and I came back and I knew what to do with that. So that was kind of related to my composing process where I took a lot of time off and on. And also that was a very meaningful piece for me as I was at the time struggling a little bit with mental, control for myself, and I pushed myself a little bit to finish this piece, and I wanted to finish that as a little bit like hopeful way. So I think that describes both of my perspective as a musician, but as a human being, like my personal side. So yeah, I hope you will enjoy.
Yes, I really look forward to listening to that with my students, Miho. Thank you
Great.
so much for your time today and for your generosity
you.
in sharing some of your story with us. We really appreciate it. And
Thank you so
wish you
much.
all the very best, Miho. Thank you, Miho Hazama.
Thank you.